The sun drops below the horizon. The air cools against your skin. You are swallowed by an absolute, suffocating darkness that stretches endlessly in every direction. A twig snaps loudly. What do you do now? For 99% of human history, this was not a hypothetical scenario. This was every single night. Today, light pollution has completely erased the ancient canopy of stars. More than 80% of people on Earth sleep under a hazy artificial glow. You flick a plastic switch. Your ancestors had no such power. How did your body survive a world where the night belonged exclusively to monsters? Your biology reacts instantly. Your pupils dilate wide. Your adrenal glands pump a massive surge of cortisol directly into your bloodstream to prepare your muscles for violence. Your hearing becomes hypersensitive. Why are you so terrified of the unseen? Your brain contains an ancient alarm system called the amygdala. When the lights go out, this tiny structure goes into extreme overdrive. It actively scans the silent environment for the slightest hint of unseen danger. Every snapping branch triggers a cascade of pure panic. Every howling gust of wind sounds like a rival tribe approaching. This is why children are universally afraid of the absolute dark. They are not acting completely irrational or overly silly. They are expressing a deeply encoded survival instinct that kept their ancient ancestors alive. How do you convince a brain wired for constant terror to finally relax? Imagine the utter vulnerability. You cannot see past your own hands. Your human eyes are completely useless here. Big cats possess highly evolved retinas optimized for hunting by the faintest starlight. They hunt aggressively when you are entirely blind. Where do you possibly hide? For millions of years, your earliest ancestors climbed giant, towering trees. They fled up the heavy trunks. They built woven nests high in the forest canopy, just like modern chimpanzees do today. This kept the sharp predators at a safe vertical distance. But sleeping on a swaying branch comes with a terrible physiological cost. You cannot enter deep sleep. If your muscles fully paralyze during the rapid eye movement phase, you will plummet to your violent death. Your brain had to constantly keep one eye open. Why did your ancestors ever decide to come down to the dangerous ground? The answer lies in a single spark. You captured a piece of the blazing sun. You brought it down to the dirt to fight back the creeping night. Archaeologist Charles Kimberlin Brain discovered something truly incredible at Swartkrans Cave in modern South Africa. He unearthed heavily burned bone fragments dating back more than 1 million years. This was the glorious birth of the human hearth. Fire changed the literal, physical architecture of your growing brain. It kept the massive, stalking predators firmly at bay. The flickering flames created a bright, warm circle of absolute safety in a deeply hostile universe. Outside, the light was sudden death. Inside, the light was vibrant life. Have you ever wondered why you feel so profoundly calm staring into a modern campfire? Your DNA vividly remembers the fire as the ultimate, glowing protector. Getting that fire was incredibly difficult. You did not have chemical matches. You used intense, exhausting friction by spinning a hardwood stick against a softer wooden board until an ember glowed. Your hands blistered and bled. When you finally caught a fragile spark, you treated it like a tiny newborn baby. You wrapped glowing coals in thick, damp leaves to carry them safely to the next ancient camp. Losing the fire meant facing the darkness completely and utterly unprotected. How could you possibly sleep knowing the flames might accidentally die out? Your body had to boldly adapt. You could not rely entirely on the burning wood. Anthropologist David Sampson studied the sleeping habits of the Hadza hunter-gatherers in modern Tanzania. He discovered a brilliant phenomenon officially known as the sentinel hypothesis. When your ancestors slept tightly around the warm fire, they never fell asleep all at once. Your tribe naturally developed completely different internal biological clocks. Some of you were extreme night owls. Some of you were extreme early birds. Because of these mixed sleep schedules, someone was always awake or in a very light stage of slumber. Out of a group of 30 people, at least one person was fully alert and watching 99.8% of the time. You survived because your tribe acted as a single, multi-headed watchful organism. Are you a teenager who naturally wants to stay awake until 3 in the morning? Your sleep schedule is not a broken biological defect. You are brilliantly expressing an ancient biological imperative designed to keep your family completely safe during the most dangerous hours of the night. The elderly woke up long before the sun. The young happily took the midnight shift. Everyone had a vital, life-saving role in the survival of the wider group. Not every night was completely dark. You also had the silver moon. The lunar cycle dictated the daily rhythm of your ancient existence. During a brilliant full moon, the vast savanna was bathed in cool, revealing light. You used this rare illumination to travel long distances safely. You hunted nocturnal prey under the vast, glowing sky. But a full moon also meant the large predators could see you from miles away. Did you feel safer in the total dark or under the bright moon? The new moon brought impenetrable, terrifying blackness. During these pitch-black nights, you stayed extremely close to the central fire. You did not wander past the edge of the fading light. You huddled tightly together for deep, physical reassurance. The night was not exclusively for sleeping. The dark hours stretched incredibly long and freezing cold. You had to stay awake to faithfully tend the vital flames. What did you actually do with all of that empty time? Anthropologist Polly Weissner spent decades living with and intensely studying the Juhoansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert. She meticulously recorded what the people talked about during the daylight hours versus the dark night. Her findings reveal the ultimate, beautiful secret of human culture. During the day, conversations were strictly practical and often incredibly tense. You talked about complex hunting logistics. You complained loudly about the searing heat. You argued bitterly over how to fairly divide the gathered food. Day talk was purely about brutal economic survival. But when the sun went down, the conversation fundamentally shifted. Night talk was exclusively for sharing powerful storytelling. By the warm, dancing light of the fire, 81% of conversations transformed into myths, jokes, and spiritual legends. You sang beautifully about the spirits of the local animals. You shared epic, heroic tales of distant ancestors who walked the earth long before you. Why does this evening conversational shift matter so much to your modern brain? Storytelling around the hearth synchronized your brainwaves perfectly with the rest of your kin. It flooded your anxious brain with soothing oxytocin. It built the deep, unparalleled empathy that allowed hundreds of separate humans to peacefully cooperate. Without the terror of the darkness, you never would have learned how to tell a story. So let us try to recreate a specific day in this ancient world. The sun sets quickly. The temperature drops sharply. You gather with your extended kin inside a massive, echoing limestone shelter. Someone feeds dry, crackling brush into the glowing red embers. The fire catches and casts wild, leaping shadows against the towering stone walls. You look up closely at those rocky surfaces. There are massive, sweeping paintings of lions, rhinos, and horses drawn in black charcoal and red ochre. This is Chauvet Cave in modern France, painted beautifully more than 30,000 years ago, in the flat, static light of a modern museum. These ancient paintings look like simple, motionless images, but you are not looking at them in a sterile, boring museum. You are looking at them by the flickering, dancing light of a massive, roaring campfire. In that shifting, unstable light, the multi-legged animals painted on the walls appear to physically move. They look like they are breathing deeply and running aggressively across the uneven stone. You are sitting down and watching the very first cinematic movie in human history. The darkness outside the cave entrance is completely, deeply terrifying. But inside the cavern, you are perfectly warm. You are well fed. You are surrounded completely by the people you trust most in the entire world. You feel an overwhelming, profound sense of absolute belonging. Can you possibly imagine a safer, more perfect feeling than this? You might think that human progress made sleep much safer. You might assume that inventing heavy wooden doors solved the ancient problem forever. Agriculture was a massive evolutionary trap. About 12,000 years ago, you violently stopped moving across the landscape. You planted vast, endless fields of wheat. You built permanent, heavy stone walls. This seems like a massive, undeniable upgrade to human comfort and basic safety. But farming introduced a terrifying nightmare your nomadic ancestors never once knew. You now had physical property to desperately protect. You had deep, dark silos full of gathered grain that attracted massive swarms of hungry rats. Those rats carried fleas that brought devastating, world-ending diseases directly to your doorstep. You had fertile, valuable land that other desperate humans wanted to aggressively steal from you. Instead of sleeping safely in a large group of watchful kin, you now slept totally alone. You isolated your immediate family inside a dark, stuffy, separated room. Your natural sleep schedule became violently, unnaturally compressed. You had to wake up exactly at dawn to constantly plow the endless fields. You worked tirelessly until your muscles tore and your bones deeply ached. The torturous, stressful concept of an alarm clock was eventually born from this exact, brutal lifestyle. You foolishly traded the terrifying darkness of the wild wilderness for the suffocating, endless anxiety of property ownership. Does your quiet, modern bedroom actually make you feel more rested tonight? Today, you live in an environment your ancient brain completely fails to recognize. You have banished the dark with incredible, ruthless efficiency. You lie rigidly in a perfectly soft bed behind heavy, digitally locked doors. You are objectively physically safer than any human being in the history of the entire planet, yet your heart constantly races in the lonely dark. You stare blankly at a glowing rectangular screen. The artificial blue light from your smartphone actively tricks your tiny pineal gland. It completely halts the natural, vital production of sleep-inducing melatonin. Your biology is thoroughly, hopelessly confused. It strongly believes the sun is blazing loudly at high noon. You scroll desperately through endless, meaningless streams of digital information in absolute physical isolation. There is no central, warming fire. There is no watchful, protective tribe. There are no wise elders sharing beautiful stories in the flesh. You are currently experiencing the most profound, devastating loneliness your species has ever endured. Your ancient biology desperately expects to be surrounded by breathing, whispering humans acting as sentinels while you peacefully drift off to sleep. Instead, you are entirely alone. You lay awake in a perfectly temperature-controlled box. You worry endlessly about an artificial spreadsheet or meaningless electronic mail. You successfully conquered the night, but you tragically lost the hearth. You try to recreate the ancient environment using desperate, artificial means. You purchase electronic white noise machines to mimic the soothing sound of wind rushing through the trees. You buy heavy-weighted blankets to simulate the physical pressure of sleeping closely pressed against the warm bodies of your extended family. You listen to long recordings of strangers talking just so you can hear a human voice in the quiet void. You are actively trying to buy back the exact sensory experiences your ancient ancestors got for free around the glowing campfire. When will you finally realize that biology cannot be hacked with plastic tools? To heal your fractured relationship with the night, you must deeply remember who you truly are. You are a biological creature of the earth. You are designed to respect the dark. You are meant to revere the fire. You must learn to deeply trust the tribe once again. Turn off the glowing screens. Find the natural, comforting darkness again. Gather your scattered people closely around you. The sun drops below the horizon. The air cools against your skin. You are swallowed by an absolute, suffocating darkness that stretches endlessly in every direction. Subscribe to this channel to uncover more forgotten secrets of your ancient past, and hit the notification bell to keep the fire burning forever.